Merry Christmas. Frohe Weihnachten.
Merry Noël.
Ça s'appelle haute trahison. Peine de mort.
It's time for you to go back. I hope you both make it through the war.
The truce is over.
What are you waiting for? Shoot him!
Shame on you, Gordon.
And we're back. This is going to be our last review of the Christmas season. Going to give you some advanced warning. This review is going to get pretty heavy. It's going to get pretty emotional. And it's going to get pretty damn somber. And the reason why? Well, the film we're reviewing today, JOYEUX NOEL, a film that came out in 2006 and was nominated for Golden Globe and Oscar for Best Foreign Film. And upon seeing it, it's no mystery why. Why am I reviewing a war movie for Christmas? Well, apart from the fact that the title translated means Merry Christmas, the film is about probably one of the most important Christmases in human history. And it takes place during probably one of the bloodiest and most horrific events in human history, specifically World War I. The film is, I guess you could say it's sort of amalgamation, portraying some of the many moments that occurred during the Christmas truce that occurred on the Western Front. History buffs, of course, know all about this event. I feel that it needs to be talked about, and I'd say a good place to start is this movie. Now, for those who don't know, the Christmas truce was a series of ceasefires that occurred during World War I, where many people from opposing sides, whether they be British, German, French, Scottish, what have you, decided to step out on Christmas Eve onto the plains in no man's land and decided that this is Christmas, how about we have a ceasefire? And during the course of this day, people started talking with each other. People started to get to know each other. Soldiers from opposing sides found out that even in lieu of borders, in lieu of language, in lieu of even customs, they have a lot more in common than they ever anticipated. And the first thing they realized that they had in common is Christmas. Just somehow, randomly, in probably the most hostile territory ever on this planet, they just somehow got it and understood what it is supposed to be about people of various backgrounds, even people who are from religions that don't celebrate Christmas. It's about encouraging the idea of people reaching out to get to know other people and start to connect with them. And this was a Christmas that should not have happened. For anyone who knows, World War I was one of the most bloodiest wars ever fought. Yet, amidst all the hate and all the anger that was happening, just one Christmas, they decide to step out onto a plane where any other day they would be gunned down, and they decide it's Christmas. Let's make it Christmas. The movie itself, it's debatable as to whether or not half the things involving the focal characters actually took place. I am definitely positive that a socialite female opera singer would never have been allowed on the front lines. I'm pretty sure that did not happen, but that's not what's important about this movie. The important aspect of this movie is the fact that it's a depiction of what happens not only with the events leading up to these people making the decision to actually socialize and talk and get to know people who they were ordered to go out and kill, but even more so beyond that. Unfortunately, Christmas ends and they're forced to have to go back to their sides and start fighting again. They come to the realization that it's not so easy, because the main thing that disgusts me about war is the fact that the people in power, the people who are so hell-bent to get one over on someone they deem as inferior, they don't ever seem to feel the need to settle this dispute themselves. They never seem to want to resolve it on themselves. They don't want to look at their opposition face to face and either on the least extreme talk it out, or on the most extreme just, get into the boxing ring, I mean, pull an Uwe ball and just, beat the hell out of each other until you guys, settle it that way. No, what they have to do is, through propaganda, convince people who actually, when you really whittle it down, have absolutely no stake in this claim, who have absolutely no say whatsoever in the decisions that are being made that lead to the war. They are convinced to go out there because the people that they are fighting are demonic, they are evil, and that they have absolutely no identity save for the fact that these people are coming to kill you. And they are trying to convince you to not question that idea. In No Man's Land, in various spots all throughout, these people stepped up, went over, and throughout the course of the day, find out that people who they were ordered to go out and kill have families, have lives, they have aspirations, they have ambitions, they have thoughts about what they want to do afterwards. And so profoundly affected are these people by this happenstance that they're already talking about going over to that country to hang out afterwards, because the bonds that they end up forming, even during the span of one day on Christmas Day, are so momentous. People were playing football on the fields, and there were even points where they actually take the time to allow them to take their dead over to their side and give them a dignified burial. These people were able to meet, socialize, bond, and get to know each other, and then all of a sudden to have to go back and start pointing guns at each other again. The fact that they are ordered to do this by people who were not there that day and who very seldomly ever poke their face into the muck and the shit, just so they can have the bragging rights to go back and say, oh yes, I've seen combat, I was out there, I was taking on Jerry, when in reality what you really mean is that you ordered someone else to go out there into No Man's Land and take on Jerry. And that's the ultimate tragedy of it all, is that here are people who were, for one day, got rid of the lines, got rid of the barriers, got rid of the boundaries, and looked at people from opposing sides as human beings, got to know them, and actually took the time to actually ponder the ethical nature of what they're doing here. And the film actually very effectively explores beyond that. And there are moments in this film where I actually felt physically ill watching certain moments. There's a point in the movie where an opera singer named Sprink, who has been in the shit, is called back to sing a recital. He has to muster up so much strength, A, to even show up there, but B, to even be able to let out one note. You could see he has been profoundly affected by everything he's seen. And he is and you can see he is just disgusted by his own people. And these are people who are so smug. They're wearing their uniforms proudly, and they're talking about when we win this war and we're on the right side. You see him in that scene, and he is so profoundly disgusted by people who, prior to getting there, he considered his equals, his peers. He thought these were good people. And because of everything he's already seen, he can't take it. And he, against orders, goes back to the front lines because he feels that that's where he belongs. And it's a beautiful moment for his character arc, where you see him be among the first to step out into No Man's Land to initiate the truce. But again, these are little dramatic embellishments that you're sure they put in there to add characters that you can connect with, which is definitely better than what most other war movies do, so credit on that. But in the end, the dramatic over-embellishments aren't really what's important about this film. What's important is the message, and the message and how it affects you, and how you as people, as civilians, people who I hope to God you never have to see what these people witnessed, and even for the people who have witnessed it, I hope that you can take the lesson that's portrayed in this movie and in turn from the events that inspired it, and try to remember kind of the core idea of what makes Christmas such a vital time of year. And of course you got the cynics all saying there's a war on Christmas because we say happy holidays. We say happy holidays because it's an all-encompassing term, because we have a desire to want to become one with our fellow human beings. Where is that a bad thing? Where is that a bad thing? We're not saying fuck Christmas. No, we're saying let's have Christmas, but let's have everything else along with it. Let's have more. Let's share. Let's share our experiences with other people and let them share stuff with us. Stuff that we didn't ever think we'd ever want to know. And it's got to start. It's got to start somewhere. And this movie does an incredible job hitting home the idea that in order for us to connect as human beings, we have to be willing to take the first step. And even with opposition, even with cynics telling you that it's the dumb thing to do, amazing things can happen when you take an incredible leap of faith. And the leap of faith doesn't necessarily have to do with God. It doesn't have to do with politics. It just has to do with the fact that you yourself want to connect with your fellow human being. And I can't think of a better time of year to do that. So, in a way, I feel like I may have veered off a tangent. I should be talking about this movie, but when you think about it, the movie is so poignant that it got me off on this tangent. And I guess it's safe to say that it is definitely a recommend. I'm, again, going to forego the certain scale on this because the stuff that this movie talks about is so much more important than a stupid scale involving where I substitute plates of food in place of stars just to make myself sound, innovative. The stuff in this movie, the movie says the message is the most important thing, and the movie conveys the message perfectly. And despite the subject matter, the movie actually is an easy watch. And I wonder if maybe they embellished on it to make it an easy watch so that way they can hit home the message. Because, to the movie's credit, I don't feel the message ever gets diluted, even if a lot of the scenes of war do feel as such. Because the movie has a good, strong focus on what is most important in it. And I hope that if you take my recommendation and give this movie a watch, I hope you guys feel the same way. So, I guess in closing, I guess I ended this on a much more serious note than I expected, but it felt right. And I hope that despite all the craziness that's been happening in the world over the past couple years, I hope that you still are able to find some way to get the most out of the Christmas season. And I hope that where we go from here is somewhere a lot bigger. And I hope that in time, the lines that divide us get expunged. Because honestly, that's the only way we're ever going to start connecting as people. So I guess the customary closing. For more festive content and Narcotic Casserole, simply like, share, subscribe, click. Thou shalt be served. Oh god, guys. I had to wait for the post-credits to talk to you guys about this because honestly that was not an easy review to do. What you got there, that was my 7th take. And I had to go back from scratch. It got harsh, it got emotional, so there were points where I had to stop. There were points where I was just like, it was harsh. I kind of want to leave you guys on a more up note. That's what post-credit stinger should do. Definitely keep it on Narcotic Casserole because Christmas Eve and Christmas Day we're going to have two editions of the Cinema Schlock Society. One and the latter one will be a surprise chaser. I will not tell you what, but Christmas Eve is going to be Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas. Oh yeah, we are going to stick it to Kirk Cameron. So if you enjoy poking fun at Kirk Cameron as much as we're going to, tune in. And if you're one of those people who love Kirk Cameron and want to get pissed off that we're poking fun at Kirk Cameron, tune in anyway and leave angry comments in the comment section because after all, that's what they're there for, so we can ignore them. I'm an asshole. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in and Merry Christmas.